Good evening. We're going to have the October the 1st commission meeting, have the invocation. We'll do that, and then we have the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wilson, then roll call. Please stand. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we appreciate the chance tonight to be here with our city and help with what has to go on in our city of Ocoee. We hope you watch over us as we go about our city night and city business to lead us in the right directions that we need to be. We also hope and pray that you watch over our first responders, that they are safe as they go about their duties in the city of Ocoee and all over the country. Thank you very much. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Brinson,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Present.
Mayor Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Firstner,
Here.
Commissioner Oliver.
Here.
All right. We have no presentations or proclamations. Staff report.
I have nothing and no emergency items tonight, Mayor.
Okay, then. Commissioners' announcements. Commissioner Oliver.
All right. I'll start off. I do have a couple items that I would like to discuss here at the beginning of our meeting. Again, as I take my positions here, I do not take them lightly. They're not the easiest position to stand before you. However, these are positions that I have to take before the citizens of Ocoee. So, first, I would like to thank those that stood with me today and the community leaders that stood with me and the citizens of Ocoee that also stood with me and the countless others that could not make it today as I made my statement about the audit. Those countless others that could not make it today, they also understand the accountability and checks and balances in the system. The citizens of Ocoee honored me with the opportunity to serve as commissioner for District 4 based on my platform, a platform of leadership with integrity and transparency. My 1.5-year tenure has yet to provide you with the results of promises made. The obstacles I've faced from our leadership and our elected officials, and some of our elected officials, have been daunting. However, my tenacity to fulfill those promises have not waned. We, the community, and several of our constituents have been more determined to demand that the city do something that has never been done before, and that's conduct an independent audit to inform, empower, and to substantiate the financial and operational health of the city of Ocoee. And anyone knows as well as I know, without a system of checks and balances, an otherwise incorrupt body can become corrupt. The almost 50,000 residents of the city of Ocoee deserves and have the right to know whether we have available funds to build for the future generations of Ocoee, and if the results are unfavorable, then I say now it's time to promote a change. So with that being said, I know the last budget hearing on the 25th, there was a memo that was read asking for $100,000 to be set aside in order to do an audit, which consists of a financial risk assessment as well as a operational readiness. So therefore, since everyone knows my position on this, I'm going to put a motion to this committee, to this commission, and I'm going to make this motion that we earmark $100,000 from our reserves to conduct an external audit, excluding the police department and fire department, which should include the following: a risk assessment, a financial and operational readiness assessment. So this motion I put before the commission today for discussion, for further discussion, to see if we can at least come together to start moving our city in the right direction when it comes to knowing where our finances are. Are we healthy? Are we not healthy? To at least be able to determine where we are and go from there. So if we're in great financial shape, then I think that's great. That's wonderful, and I love that. But I guarantee you, there are some opportunities that we've missed. We have been operating for the same way for so long that I'm sure that there's some opportunities that we have there that we may be able to save our taxpayers not only tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. So therefore, I place this motion on the floor now, and open up for discussion.
I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Commissioner, motion made by Commissioner Oliver, seconded by Commissioner Prince. Any discussion?
I'll be happy to say something.
Huh?
I'll be happy to say something.
Go ahead.
I understand your position on an audit, and I believe that if I had an extra $100,000, first of all, I don't know what's in contingency at this point, but if I had an extra $100,000, I have roads to be paved, I have sidewalks to be cleaned up. I feel that we all have a responsibility to finishing what came out of a strategic planning session that we did pay for, that came to our downtown area, that we have got added funds. Any added dollars we have, I feel, have to go to that park and go to the new city hall. I believe, just as you say, I was put here also to represent the residents of District 2 and the city of Ocoee. I feel I'm not just representing one district, I'm representing 4 districts. And I have to be a good steward of funds. And with that, I think every dollar has an important part. Yes, we might be able to save something, but I think in the long run, $100,000, and we listened, after we had a meeting one night for the budget, it was discussed it would go from $100,000 to $1 million. We've got a city hall that we have to still figure out how we're going to pay for because we want to make sure it's going to last 15 and 20 years. We have a park over here that we've probably gone over budget because from the time we borrowed the money on the bond, the prices have gone up. And from that initial strategic planning that we did many years ago, we put together that our residents wanted a park. Our residents came together when we did the charrettes. I never saw so many residents at one time in one of our buildings saying what they wanted. And what they want is this park and this downtown area to be completed. And not saying that an audit is not important, but at this time, I feel as a steward of the funds that I have a responsibility to make sure that this park is completed. Yes, it sits in District 2, so it's a little, I shouldn't say it's more special to me, but it's special to all of us. I've got streets that are downtown Ocoee here that probably haven't been repaved. They're scary to go on. When you meet another car, the curbing is so high. All this needs to be done. We need dollars to spend. And I think, personally, I want to put that money into this community before we can take on any other jobs. So, again, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Anybody else?
May I add to that?
Wait, anybody else?
Okay, sorry.
Anybody else? I'll say something. We had a meeting, public hearing. Commissioner Oliver, you weren't there. I guess you were on vacation. I think that's not the right time to be going on vacation. If you want something put through the budget, you need to be there. We also had that budget pre-hearing at a prior public hearing. You could have made that motion and could have put that motion forward to be voted on. Everybody sitting here, Commissioner Brinson, Commissioner Wilson, myself, and Commissioner Firstner had that paper in front of them on the public hearing that night. We did not make a motion to do it. So that motion failed that night. I'm gonna read something. I'm gonna read this because I think it needs to be read. It is extremely unfortunate when one of our own does not respect the legislative process, goes and does something in an attempt to shine a light of negativity on the city. The truth is, the audits were brought up during the first budget public hearing, but no one, including Commissioner Oliver, made a motion. And this after positive discussion from the commissioners about using strategic planning to determine goals that could result in an operational audit in the future. The city already conducts an annual financial audit, which you brought up 3 or 4 times in your comments about finance. That financial audit every year goes through here, and it is checked by the state. We are probably better off than most other cities anywhere around in either all the counties in this area. Performed by a licensed company and has received a favorable audit for all of my tenure. Police, fire, and development services have all undergone intense scrutiny and transformations in recent years. It is appropriate for Commissioner Oliver to insinuate that the commission is anything but an organization that is transparent and of the highest integrity. The fact of the matter is that on the most important budget hearing of the year, the commissioner was on vacation, cruise of the seas. I made sure that his request was made clear to the entire commission, but there was no discussion brought up by the commission and no motion was made. I often say that we keep our city, and all we hear is things that you want to negativity about the city. You go pull the financial records of the city anytime anybody wants to. We sit here during the budget process through 2 public hearings and 2 workshops. Not anybody was arguing the budget. The city has more reserves than any other cities around also. So if we'll call that the vote. We got a motion on the floor and I got a second.
I need to make a statement before we vote.
And then we're gonna vote.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments, not all of them, except for the personal jabs that you took, but that's fine. That's fine. You can show your teeth. But nonetheless, this city has never had an external audit. The audits that we do, the audits that are actually done and they're approved through the state of Florida, they're internal. There's never been an audit in the history of this city that an external organization has come into the city and actually done an audit. There was an audit that was put forth back in 2016 by Commissioner Grogan, and this commission unanimously voted to have that audit move forward. What happened, I don't know, but obviously it did not happen. I just can't sit back and in good conscience, knowing that we're spending taxpayers' dollars and knowing that we have no checks and balances in our system through an external source, and it's not seen as a negative thing. This is something that can be very positive. It can show our financial health, where we really are in this city, and I think that it would actually it could probably shed a lot of great light on where we are. Again, there may be some opportunities that we may find, but nonetheless, you won't see it unless we do it. We have to start somewhere. If I don't stand up for the citizens of Ocoee, the citizens of District 4, if I don't do it, who will? Who's going to do it? I was elected to do just that, what I'm doing right
All
now.
right, we've got enough service.
I was elected to do that right now.
All right.
So
We'll call
that's
for the
exactly,
vote.
I'm sorry, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Well,
I'm standing up for those
Commissioner,
citizens that
I'm gonna
have,
call for
that
the vote.
deserve
Go
and
out
have
of
the
order.
rights, and I didn't cut you off.
No, you don't even-
I didn't cut you off. No,
I'm
you're out of
interrupting
order, so
you.
I
No,
didn't.
I'm not.
Yes, you are,
No,
sir.
I'm not.
Yes,
All
you
right,
are.
Call the vote. That's it. Anybody in favor of the motion, vote. Anybody in favor of the motion?
Any public comments?
Anybody in favor of the vote?
I don't understand what you mean.
Huh?
We don't understand what you're
So you
saying.
got, the motion is, he made a motion for approving $100,000 for the budget,
But are we voting this way,
For the-
or are
for
we
the second.
voting?
for the audit. Seconded by Commissioner Brinson.
The yes vote is for voting for the audit up to $100,000. A no vote would be for no audit.
Okay, so you're asking us to push, I'm sorry, I didn't
I'm
interpret
asking you
this.
to vote.
Yes, okay.
Motion is denied, 3 votes to 2. Also, there's I was talking to the city manager, over the strategic planning for this process can be done over the next year or two, where we don't have to spend a bunch of money one time. We can do different departments at different times that are not under the police, fire, or I found out today that IT gets done, it also gets done through the government. So we can pull those to the city manager. Is that not true?
It was, we had done an independent audit, and just a point of clarification, I'm not sure, Commissioner, when you say internal versus external audit, the audit we have every year on our financial statements is an external audit by an external firm who comes in and looks at all our financial documents. It's not an internal thing that we do, so it is, that's the one audit each year that's done by an external company. I think, Mayor, what you're referring to is the accreditation process that police and fire have gone through, and perhaps Commissioner Fershner, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think ISO comes in every other year and audits the policies and procedures of the fire department also. And probably 8 years ago or so, we did have one done in the Development Services Department and implemented a lot of those changes. which is where we get all the accolades now as far as the development process and planning and zoning and building. So
All right.
I think that answers your question, Mayor.
Well, I think we can work on that. The, commissioners, everybody spoke now?
I still have the
Not
floor.
good?
Excuse me?
We voted on that, but I still have the floor.
No. You,
No, I don't have any comments.
Commissioner Wilson? And again,
No.
Commissioner Preston?
fine.
All right, we're gonna move on to,
Mayor, I believe I still have
sir,
the floor.
you get more comments at the end
I
of the
wasn't, I
meeting.
wasn't finished with my
Yes, sir, you
opening
are.
comments. I
Yes,
was
sir.
not finished. No, I
Yes,
was
you
not.
are.
I said I had
I'm-
two items
Do I
to
not
cover.
have the right to do
We covered one item.
No, sir.
No, sir, what?
All right, you got one more item. Go
Yes, I had another item to
ahead. All right,
cover.
go ahead.
Thank you.
You will.
All right.
Call it news conference.
Okay. I also noticed in our budget, we actually, we budgeted last year for our youth council for $20,000 in the budget. That line item was still there, but actually there was no money actually added toward the youth council. I am also making a motion that we reinstate the budget for the Ocoee Youth Council, $10,000 for the youth council and $10,000 for the summer jobs program for youth. I further motion that these become a permanent line item for future budgets.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver for the youth council. Here's a second.
Are we not funding that now? I don't understand.
No, not in the budget. It was in the budget you went through, we voted on the other night, Commissioner.
I just have a question, but,
Well, that's, no
I know,
second.
that's-
All right. Dies from lack of a second.
okay,
Discussion.
can I say something? I think the way you said it, Commissioner Oliver, I couldn't, okay, I'm interested in the youth council. I have a problem when it says that to go on, I think that's a yearly type thing. I'd like to see it in the budget for the year. And I thought that we did 20,000 for the youth council. I think the summer situation was done separately. So I thought, and this is, clarify this for me, that your 20,000 was last year for the youth council.
What
And that's
do
why I'm trying to, I didn't like your motion, I'm sorry. So I
Well,
couldn't.
I can
couldn't-
clarify.
Go ahead.
You all had $20,000 in the budget last year. 10,000 of it was designated towards the administrative oversight of the youth council. We have the contractor. And then the other 10,000 was used in a partnership with the jobs, I'm trying to think of the name of it right now.
Career Source.
Yeah, the Career Source, which leveraged that dollars. And basically with the I believe it was eight interns that we had, there was additionally about another 7 who were doing internships in the city of Ocoee at Cisco and Westgate and those types of things. So it wasn't really broken out as to what the contribution was for the strictly Ocoee jobs versus the Ocoee business jobs, but that $10,000 was leveraged within the city to a tune of about $37,000 from Career Source, which they kicked in. So the investment made by the city was $10,000 for the intern program and $10,000 towards the youth council.
Okay, here's another question for you, if you don't mind. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. The youth council, we only ran for a certain part of the year. Is this what you estimate, 10,000 for the youth council for administration? I know that the summer program, I guess we looked at later on in the year. The youth council was, let me gather my words here. We did it late in the year. Do you know how much was spent by the youth council? So I'm just saying, is 10,000 what you anticipate for, I know that Ms. Dillard's running it, and for the students attending functions? Is that what you anticipate the year?
Well, the youth council started, we got a late start last year.
Right.
Again, as we started pulling students in as the schools were closing. So we actually got a late start, but we actually got the program off the ground. So we've actually had a few months of really good, solid meetings with them. So this year, funding the youth council gives us a full solid year of a program, which we've actually been receiving calls from other cities as to how we got it started, and we've actually started to provide information of other cities. So the $10,000 actually was spent for the youth council. I'm actually proposing maybe this year we might modify it a little bit and maybe cut down on the salary for Ms. Dillard and use one half of it for the salary, and the other half for the actual expenses that the youth council have. That'll be 5,000 and 5,000.
When do you expect to tell Ms. Dillard? I'm sorry, when you said cut it down. I'm interested in the youth council. Again, I see them at Florida League of Cities with other cities. I think I'd like to do with, personally, the youth council, and then we look at, because it's career source, we won't know if they're gonna come in again.
I like career service.
And I mean, I liked when the students were here, but is career source gonna come back in? That's my concern.
They're anticipating coming back and working with us again this year for summer jobs.
So I would have seconded the motion if it was a motion that said 20,000, but I can't go on for eternity because I can't say, we have other commissions that will come forward possibly, and I don't want to saddle
Well,
them.
I
like
just
to
only
year
want
by year.
as a line item, we can determine how the money is spent, but just to take the line item out, I'm only asking that line item be in every budget, that
What?
it's there. And now if we want, just like we had the community grants program, that line item was there. Whether we decide to fund it or not, that's up to the commission. I'm just saying that I would like for that line item to be there with that money set aside. We can determine how we spend that money. That's the only thing I'm saying when I actually made that motion.
I'd like it in just, I would like to just deal with next year, this budget we're in October 1, and then next summer we deal again with the next year's budget. If it was a motion for this year's budget, I would be seconding it.
Should have done that the other night.
It should have happened. Do we have contingency?
Yes,
But that's
and,
not gonna get through this year's budget.
No, but we're talking October 1, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
actually, the only way you can fund that right now and take a vote on it right now would be out of contingency. If you want to look at reserves or something like that, you're going to require a budget amendment, which would be a public advertisement and 2 hearings. You'd have to do an ordinance to do a budget amendment.
But do we have
to
a
take anything.
contingency? Today's October
You do have
1.
the typical $50,000 contingency that you have every year. Yes, so whatever you fund out there, I suggest if you were going to do something like that, you fund it out of contingency, and if you need more contingency dollars mid-year, when typically we may do a budget amendment, you could do it at that time. But that's the only real option you have right now, besides transferring some line item from another department.
So, Commissioner, I
But,
mean,
but reserves can't be used
no, I
at this
wasn't looking
point.
for reserves. I'm looking for what we have starting October 1, which just happens to be today. So I guess if you made the motion, I would be happy to second if it was 20,000 for this coming budget
Well,
year.
I can amend that motion and, again, make that motion to actually reinstate the budget for the youth council of $20,000 for the fiscal year 2020.
Funded out of contingency.
Out of contingency, yes.
I'll second that.
Commissioner, I think you meant 10,000 for the youth council and 10,000 for career source.
That's correct.
I still agree.
Mayor, I have a question. We're funding these programs, but I have yet to see any kind of evidence of what either one of these organizations have done over this past year. Are we going to be able to expect a report as far as how many participated, who were they, what did they do, how the money was spent, talking transparency and audits here? I'd just like, we've spent money already on those 2 programs. I'd like to see how it was spent and what was accomplished by it. Are we going to get those?
Absolutely. That's actually a great comment. I believe that, I'm going to start with the clerk's office. Let's talk about the, or maybe we can mention about the work that was done through that $10,000, one of the $10,000 that we did, the city worker that you had in the clerk's office. Could you tell us about the work that they did within your department and the return that we received on that?
Yes, I'm sorry. We actually had 2 interns in our office, and we had a lot of back scanning that needed to be done, just because we knew we were getting ready to hopefully move into a new city hall soon, and we didn't want to bring boxes of just paper. So we utilized both of our interns to help us get caught up in our scanning, and they got us caught up with everything. They were great. They came in, did their work, and while they were scanning, they got to learn about, what takes place in our meetings, as they were scanning every agenda packet that we had for several years.
How many interns were there in total working in the city?
I believe we had a total of about 8 within the city. We had 8 within the city.
8?
And we also within the confines of of the city of Ocoee, but we also had some of the interns working in businesses within the city limits, and they were able to make impacts in the areas that they're working in as well. I can always get, Career Source actually does have a briefing on the impact that they made within our program. And Jason Lights actually, I asked him to come, he could not make it, but he will come to one of our future meetings to talk about what the impact that we made over the summer. As far as the youth council is concerned, we actually got started really, really late. So their first event was the Florida League of Cities. They were actually there, learning different techniques as to what they can do as a commission or as a youth council. Also getting contacts and talking about different programs they'll be involved. They're actually getting ready to get involved in a competition that would start, I believe, next month, and they'll be coming back and reporting on that competition that they're involved in. There's about 7 of those guys.
Okay.
The question I would ask you, did you put in the motion about cutting the salary in half?
I put it in a
Because
motion.
I don't think-
We can always go back and discuss it. I just put it in a motion that we can actually, a motion that we can live with that will suffice, satisfy Commissioner Wilson's 1 year, her 1 year
But the.
length of the program.
Desire.
Mayor, if I may, we'd need to bring that contract to the commission for approval with
Yeah.
with the hourly rate and
I'm
everything.
not-
You would
I
all
won't
be
vote
approving
for it
that.
Unless we do that and put the salary, because I think there's not enough time in that position to be paying it $800 or $900 a month. Now, the other workers that came under that, deal where they worked in our different departments, that was great. They did a great job, they were good stint, and that's when the guy brought the paper, I brought the paper back too from that guy. I think they did a great job. I think the other ones is where I have a problem with it without making that salary adjustment. So, I'll vote no unless we put it in there. So if we're gonna do that, we have to put it in that motion.
Well, I make a motion again to reinstate the budget for the youth council from contingency of $20,000 for the fiscal year 2000, fiscal year 2020, sorry, and also for our summer jobs program.
All right, so you're not gonna put that in the motion?
That's something that we can discuss at
No,
another
no,
time.
we
So I have a
All
motion
right,
on the floor.
second, you second.
I second
All right.
that.
All right, any more comment on it? Let's vote. Vote no on that, till we get the, amount done. All right, get that set up, and I'll vote.
Oh, okay.
You gotta bring it back to the contract, right, Rob? Okay. All right, that's, again, was there the other night at the budget process, everybody didn't do. So, you know,
Oh.
you need to read the contract, read the budget. All right, consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve.
I have to pull
I'm sorry.
one item, somebody here wants to talk on,
What number?
consent item number 2.
So if I could, I will approve, I make a motion to
There's
approve the consent agenda with exception to item 2?
Yeah.
Is that any more?
No, there's only
Only
motion,
one?
no, that's it.
Oh, wait, someone put their hand up.
I can't hear it.
That's on the regular.
That's not on the consent
Okay.
agenda, ma'am.
Then motion with removing item 2 for discussion.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Wilson to move everything except item 2, and then we'll discuss item 2. All right.
I second it.
Oh, yeah, you need a, okay.
You skip public comment?
We ain't got any public comment yet.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
No, I guess they did need a second, but I don't, yes,
You made a motion.
yes.
We voted for
All
So
right,
what do we say
item
next?
2.
Okay.
Mr. Atkins, you want to comment on item number 2? The other one will be at the end. The other one you put in for 2 things. This is,
I'll leave the letter here. I'll leave the two of you up back there.
huh?
The number 2 is under the consent. The other
That's
one's
right.
public, so
I know.
yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah,
Well,
3
he's
minutes.
coming up. Could I just ask a favor? I was asked by someone at home that every time we move this thing, it squeaks and it gets really loud on the TV when we move our microphone up and down. So if we could just be mindful of that, it would help. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, my name's Chris Atkins. I live at 606 Ridgefield Avenue, Ocoee, Florida, 34761. I want to make a comment in regards to number 2 on the consent agenda. I had already talked to Mrs. Sibbett, and I know there's going to be some corrections made with Mark Johnson in regards to the programs that are listed, Ocoee Little League and Ocoee Youth Soccer League. Those are no longer active within our community, so those would be stricken from this. It is now the West Orange Babe Ruth League that is running our baseball program, and it's the Ocoee Soccer League that is running our soccer program. I did notice that there's some vacancies on this particular board. I think they have 2 members that would accept another 2 years, but that leaves 3. It also states that it would be nice to have a representative from each one of these programs be present during that board's discussions. I would actually like to have the commission consider maybe having the treasurer of each one of those leagues, those 3 particular leagues, actually be part of that board or be mandatory that they're present. I think once a year they should turn their budget in to the city, reflecting what they're bringing in and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, 2 of these programs used to be non-for-profit. They had more than 75% of the enrollment was youth from the city of Ocoee. What has now happened with 2 of these programs, one has become for-profit, the other has opened itself up as a Babe Ruth, which allows enrollment from all over the city of Orlando. So we have individuals coming from Alafaya, Claremont, Groveland. There's no restrictions based upon who can enter these particular programs, but yet the taxpayers are paying 100% of all aspects of these programs. All the field maintenance, all the linings, all the electric, everything, 100%. So at the end of the day, I believe we used to have, and I'd have to refer to the commission about this, a policy where at least 75% of your enrollment needed to be Ocoee residents or citizens using the programs for them to be receiving tax-paying funded dollars to cover all the expenses at those programs. If you're operating a program that has only a few people that live in Ocoee operating in it, and everyone else is coming to our city and using it, then we're using taxpayers from Ocoee to fund other individuals' youth programs. Now, I'm not saying we do away with youth programs by any means, okay? So don't misunderstand me when it comes to that aspect. But if you have only a small percentage of children that are enrolled in your program, and you have one that is actually for-profit, I would like to see the commission make it, make it to where all these programs should be non-for-profit, and if they're going to allow, which I encourage other communities to come to our great city, then they should be paying a percentage of their budget. This comes back down to the audit, right? So we have a large expense when it comes to this Parks and Recs department, when it comes to costs, but yet we have none of these programs contributing to the costs, and we're having people from out of the community who are using these. So maybe you should think about, or potentially think about, what fee rate would be appropriate for the programs that are operating that are for individuals outside of Ocoee. Other municipalities charge rates, but we charge nothing.
Time's up.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Huh? Yeah, I need a motion now. Consent item number 2.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Worcester, second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Furphy.
I'd
Any
like
more
to-
comment?
Yeah, I want to just say one thing. Regarding this, just for anyone who's reading this, this is regarding the reappointment of 2 citizens on the board. I think what the discussion that was just had was probably something that would come at a different, was a little different than this reappointment. That I am the person appointed to this board from the commission, and we are always welcoming new board members to come join us in this. And the board's usually making recommendations to the commission, and that's something that can be brought up your comments can be brought up at a recreation meeting. But I'm making the motion because this right here is for 2 of the current board members who wish to be reappointed. That's basically what the appointment says. But there's always appointments, there's always applications that are available if anyone wants to be on the boards, and that's how I started with the city 20 years ago. And they're great boards to be on, so please put your application in and come join the other residents who want to have a say in what's going on in the city. It's a great time it's a wonderful, boards are wonderful options for us as residents.
All right. Motion's been made and second. Did you get a second?
Yes,
Yeah.
second.
Any more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Request for variance, first reading of ordinance, item number 6.
5.
Oh, that's right, I thought we was under consent. All right, that's what I was gonna say. Request for variance, Chaudhry property, 1108 East Silver Star Road. Gonna read it? All right, I'm gonna open the public hearing. That's staff. Let staff, okay?
Good evening, Mayor,
You can see him
Commissioners.
up there.
For the record, Keel Gachadar, zoning manager. The item in front of you tonight is a request for a variance to the minimum lot width at 1108 East Silver Star Road. The property is located to the north of Silver Star Road, west of 2nd Street. The variance, or granting the variance, will allow for the construction of a single-family home. It's currently zoned in Ocoee R1, low residential. The minimum lot size for that zoning is 7,000 square feet. The current lot is 9,260 square feet, which is well above the minimum. The minimum lot width is 70 feet. The current lot is at 65.56 feet. The variance is asking to lower the minimum width from the 70 feet minimum requirement to 65.56 feet. Orange County R1 allows a 50-foot width. So if you look to the north of the actual lot, a lot of these homes here are in R1, which are at 50 feet width. A little bit of background to the property itself. It was annexed about 5 years ago into the city. It was recently split into 2 lots so that we can allow 2 buildable lots. It was originally zoned for professional offices. It's now it's now zoned for low density residential. This is the intended layout for the lot. Currently, there's a home being built to the corner lot here on 2nd Street. The lot that we're discussing is right here to the left. Access to the lot will be to the rear of the property. Currently, the lot meets setback requirements, so the variance is really just asking for allowing the minimum lot width to be 65.56. The property is going to have septic. It's currently on city water, which will remain the same. And approving the variance really, the request really allows for the lot to be buildable, which staff does approve. And if you have any questions, open to any.
Keel, just a quick question. The lot to the east that's having a house built on it right now, did that go through the variance process?
No, so when we originally did the lot split, instead of having to do 2 separate variances, we met the minimum to the lot to the east with 70
Okay.
feet.
Thank you.
So that's why the lot to the left, or the west, is 65.56.
All right. Commissioner Wilson.
Just want to confirm one thing. The entrance to it will be on 2nd Avenue in the back, because Silver Star is a very tough place to pull
Yes,
in and
ma'am.
out of, so
Yes, ma'am, there is no entrance to the property
no
off of Silver
entrance at
Star.
all.
Sorry?
No entrance at all.
No entrance at all.
And that goes for the other property on the other side, correct? They're both going to be...
This is
rear-
correct, because the
rear-
septic tank will be going to the south of the property.
Okay,
So hence the reason the entrance is, there'll be a driveway here for this lot,
okay.
and then there'll be an entryway to the rear to get to the other lot, the lot that we're discussing right now. So to the rear here, through an
Okay.
easement of the other lot.
So they already have the easement.
I believe that they do, yes.
Because it says proposed access easement, just confirming that they do have,
Yeah, I think
It is confirmed.
that would be established as part of the lot split.
that will be established.
Is that-
Because when you say proposed, it just throws kind of a red flag up to me, and I just want to make sure that
This is just the
Because-
illustration, but it is confirmed that there will be an easement.
it is confirmed. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments? No. Open the public hearing. Anybody in the public have any comments for item number 5, request for variance in the Chaudhry property? All right, no comments. I close the public hearing, come back. I need a motion.
I'll be happy to make that motion for approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson for the.
Second it.
Here, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Oliver. Any more comments? Not, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, item number 6, first read
Thank
of
you.
ordinance. First read of ordinance for BMG Estates, Ocoee Townhomes, 815 Clear Corner Ocoee Road, small-scale plan use amendment and rezoning to plan unit development.
This is a comprehensive plan ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as amended on September 18, 1991, by ordinance number 91-28 as amended, amending the future land use map of the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan to change the future land use designation from low-density residential to medium-density residential for certain real property containing approximately 3.89 acres located at 815 Clarcona Ocoee Road on the east side of North Lakewood Avenue, aka Clarcona Ocoee Road. 103 feet north of Burnt Tree Court, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city future land use map, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. And then the ordinance for the rezoning, this is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County R1 to Ocoee PUD planned unit development on certain real property containing approximately 3.89 acres located at 815 Clarcona Ocoee Road on the east side of North Lakewood Avenue, aka Clarcona Ocoee Road, 103 feet north of Burnt Tree Court, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner, finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, first, this is the first reading. We'll be allowed a public hearing. If you want to make comments, it'll be at the second reading. Public hearing will be scheduled for October 15th, 2019. Regular commission meeting at 6:15, October 15th. All right. Item number 7, second reading of public hearing. Second reading of ordinance for Skipper property, 1936 Adair Street, annexation and rezoning.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Mike Rimmer, City Planner. This property is an annexation for subject property on the west side of Adair Street. This is south of Clarcona Ocoee and north of Worst Road. This is an annexation in order to receive potable water service. The two parcels just east of this annexed into the City of Ocoee for water service about 2013. This is a family member that was originally didn't want to annex, and now they've come through, and they're proposing to annex the property into the city. You can see the zoning to the east. That is what makes the property eligible for annexation. It abuts the city property on the east. It has a low-density residential land use. There's an existing single-family home on the property, and it will stay that way upon annexation. Staff recommends approval. Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and read the ordinance. This is the annexation ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately 1.01 acres located on the west side of Adair Street, the south side of Clarcona Ocoee Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County A1, rural agricultural, to City of Ocoee R1, low-density residential, on certain real property containing approximately 1.01 acres, located on the west side of Adair Street, south side of Clarcona Ocoee Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. What we'll do is we'll discuss, we'll talk about, anybody have any comments in the ordinance for the second reading of annexation ordinance or second reading of rezoning ordinance for item number 7, Skipper property. No comments. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back. We'll need 2 different motions. We'll start with the annexation ordinance first. I need a motion.
Excuse me, I have a question before we make a motion. This is a quick question. Is that the easement right there from Adair Street all the way back to the property, this line?
Yes, Commissioner, it's not considered an easement. It's fee simple owned.
I'm sorry?
Yes, it's fee simple owned, so it's part of the lot. That is,
Okay, so that's actually their pathway to get to the property.
yes.
Oh, wow, that's a long
In
drive.
order to subdivide, and it was subdivided under Orange County, but even in our regulations, each property on a subdivision, whether you do 2 to unlimited numbers, has to have a minimum of 20 feet of deeded frontage on a public road. And that's how you see them achieve that flag. Some ordinances have a limitation on how long that flag can be, 1,000 feet or something like that. But
I'm just wondering how they got to the property. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion for second reading of annexation?
I make a motion for the second reading annexation as stated.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Brinson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. Now we need a motion for the second reading of rezoning ordinance.
I also make a motion for the rezoning ordinance as stated.
Motion made by Commissioner Brinson for item 7. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. All right. Item number 8.
That's what it
Second
passed.
reading of ordinance for Cruz Smeller property, 1557 Blackwood Avenue. Annexation and rezoning.
yes, Mayor, again, this is an annexation. The property is located on the east side of Blackwood. This is south of Old Winter Garden Road. It's within the city's utility service area. The property owner is seeking connection to the city water service. This is the second property in this area to annex in the last 5 years. The property, you can see the one right above it did this several years ago. It's eligible for annexation. It's a voluntary application from the owner. It's eligible because it borders property on the west and on the north that's in the city. The property has upon annexation in the joint planning area agreement we had, we decided on land uses. We decided that when this property comes in, it would have a low-density residential land use. Since there's an existing single-family home, it meets the use of the land use. And again, this is in order to obtain city water. They are annexing into the city. It's about a half acre size. Thank you. Staff recommends approval.
All right, this is the annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately .51 acres located on the east side of Blackwood Avenue, south side of Old Winter Garden Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County A1, rural agricultural, to City of Ocoee R1, low-density residential, on certain real property containing approximately .51 acres located on the east side of Blackwood Avenue, south side of Old Winter Garden Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, we'll open the public. Any discussion on items number 8 for Cruz Smeller property? Anybody in that ordinance for second reading of annexation or second reading of rezoning? No comments. Close the public hearing. Come back to the dais. Do I hear a motion for annexation?
I'll make that motion for annexation.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. All right, no more comments? Let's vote. All right, I need a motion for the rezoning.
I'll make that motion for,
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Firstman. No more comments? Let's vote. All right, item number 9, second reading of ordinance for 8815 Hackney Prairie Road annexation and rezoning.
Yes, thank you. Again, for the record, Mike Rimmer, City Planner. This property is located on the north side of Hackney Prairie Road between Apopka Vineland and Clark Road. It's really close, just on the west, a couple parcels away from the elementary school there. This parcel backs up to the subdivision in the City of Ocoee. There's a stormwater pond on the north side. Just to give a little backstory first. Stormwater pond was having some drainage issues with this parcel. My map doesn't want to work here. With this parcel, the city has purchased this parcel, which it contains an existing single-family home. with the intent of looking at the drainage situation on the north side of the parcel. The property is butts city to the east and to the west and to the north. It is the city. The city is the applicant on this property, and we are bringing into the city limits while we have this opportunity. The property was purchased with stormwater. There's no plans for, other than to look at the stormwater issue and move on from there and figure out a plan with the property. Do want to draw your attention. You do have a letter at your station. There's a single-family home on the west side that utilizes the driveway through the flag. Again, as Commissioner Oliver was looking at the parcel before, was subdivided in the past using a flag, so it's fee simple ownership strip of land that the parcel the city owns. The property to the west currently uses that driveway. There was at one time an easement. That easement went away, and it has been a handshake deal until now. The property owner has sent a letter. You can read that letter, and they did speak at the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. Upon annexation, it's 2.8 acres. We're going to give it agricultural zoning and keep it low-density residential as a land use. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
All right, this is the annexation ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately 2.8 acres located on the north side of Hackney Prairie Road, west side of North Clark Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding said annexation to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, providing for and authorizing the updating of official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from Orange County A1, rural agricultural, to City of Ocoee A1, general agricultural, on certain real property containing approximately 2.8 acres located on the north side of Hackney Prairie Road, west side of North Clark Road, pursuant to the application submitted by the property owner. Finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, we will open the public hearing, and for anybody to make comments, I have one citizen, Deanna Claiborne, come to speak on item 9.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time. I appreciate the comments of the city planner. I think he explained the situation well, and my husband and I were at the last meeting and expressed our concerns. There was at one point talk of the possibility of a park being installed, and that gave a real red flag to us. I want to point out, it's been interesting as I've listened to the comments and the discussion tonight, that there's a great deal of concern and interest in using the city's money wisely, and I commend you for that. I just want to point out, first of all, that we support reselling this property as a single-family home once they've taken, I assume they're going to split the lot and take care of the flooding problem. I wanted to point out that if those plans change, that there is a city park, a beautiful city park, a quarter mile from this property. So it really would make no sense to do anything other than to retain that as a residential property. We have written, I have had my attorney write 2 letters so far in our request to have a decision made regarding the easement that we've enjoyed for almost 20 years on this property, and I have not yet received a response. We maintain that portion. In fact, I maintain not just the 20-foot portion, but we take care of the entire portion. And so I feel like we're doing a little bit of a service there and maintaining it in good order and taking care of that. And all we are asking as residents is to be able to enjoy using our driveway. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments?
I just have, you ask a question at this point?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, were you gonna ask?
I just have a quick question. I think I know the property, like along here, is there like a little driveway that goes back there? It's like a little dirt road that goes back there? Okay, I'm familiar with the property.
Thank you. Do you have an additional driveway coming off?
We do not. It's fenced across our entire property.
Is
And
there a
so we have access. We would have to create a driveway down the middle of our property, basically.
Okay, I don't think I've heard anybody mention a park going in
Well, in discussions at the planning and zoning meeting, what opportunities does the city have with lands they purchase, resell, development,
Yeah.
parks? It wasn't, there's Hackney Prairie Park, or,
Yeah,
you know,
that-
right there.
there. All right, yeah.
I still have a question. It's okay. You would wait for the public hearing to end for the
Yeah, I'm gonna
questions?
bring it
I'm
back.
sorry.
All right, anybody else in the public have any comments on item number 9? All right, I'm gonna bring it back to the dais. Close the public hearing, bring it back. Comments again?
I have a question. If that was used eventually, let's say it's divided, I know that the reason we bought it, if that was divided into another single-family residential lot, would we be, if we continue to allow this, would we be infringing on the rights of the person who bought the property? Let's say we put it's a single-family lot,
Yeah,
and then you turn around and you've given one person permission to use it, but is that infringing on the rights of the person who actually might buy the single-family lot?
I mean, I think the idea would be to establish an easement now for the neighboring property to use it, and then if we sold that property, it would be subject to that easement. Maybe it's a joint driveway where both would use it.
Just want to look at both sides.
Well, anybody else have comments on it?
No, I think that's very fair, really, to grant them the easement, the use of the easement until that property is sold, and then between the new buyer and the Clairvoyants, they're going to have to come to an agreement on the use of that easement. The city doesn't have any objections to the use of the easement? Question?
Yep.
No, but
No?
I think what they're asking is, what I think Mr. Wilson, it's either put it to it now or then they don't have that problem when it comes to that it's sold, the easement. It's been an easement being used. If we go ahead and do the easement.
Grant the easement to the
Yes.
Clairvoyants?
Yeah, I think what we've got, we would really have 3 things on the agenda. You've got to approve the annexation ordinance, the rezoning ordinance, and then the third item would be direct city staff to work with the neighboring property owner to establish an easement over the entrance road.
Yeah. Well said.
Sorry, I got a quick question. We're calling it an easement, and this is the same cutout as the one before. What exactly
Okay.
is it now? Is it
For
an
the
easement or
ci-
something that you just mentioned before?
No, yeah, for our property, it is fee simple. This property owner, the resident that spoke, would need an easement. So
They need an
over this 20-foot, there would be a legal description that says under this 20-foot section, they have the right to come back and to access their property. The easement would be on place of this strip of land that we presently owned.
Gotcha.
That's where the driveway presently sits. So the easement can be 15 feet, 20 feet for ingress and egress only.
On the easement, how wide is that currently?
The flag is
Is
at
it-
least
is-
20 feet.
Okay.
The driveway may be less.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. The flag is actually 40 feet. We're asking for 20
big.
feet as well.
That's what it says. Let me make a comment. This states that from the letter from the lawyer, I guess, Mr. Pratt. For the data person, it says here, Mr. and Ms. Claiborne have enjoyed an easement and use of a 20-foot portion of the 40-foot strip, which borders the property, and that's what they're asking for. They're asking for have that access to that property.
Yes. Most likely, we would deal with the drainage in the back, take that off, and we have a lot with a single-family home. If we sell, it can have the easement. If we were going to do work back there while we still own the land, we would just let the easement holder know, hey, we're going to have some equipment as a heads up, but otherwise, wouldn't have any issues.
And I'll make a comment. This letter, Ms. Claiborne would put into public record. They'll record it in at the city clerk's office. So make sure it's there. All right. So let's start with the annexation. I need a motion for annexation.
I'd like to make a motion for the annexation.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second it?
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. All right, we need a motion for second reading of rezoning.
I'd like to make a motion for the second reading of the rezoning ordinance.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Let's vote. All right, now we're down to item C. Do you need to read out how that needs to be?
Yeah, I think item C would be a motion to direct city staff to work with the neighboring property owner to establish an easement over the flagged portion of the lot.
All right. Do I hear a motion for that?
I'd like to make a motion that the staff work with the current, with the owners to the, I guess it'd be to the east of the property to establish an easement.
Current owners to the west.
Request an easement, I'm sorry. Request an easement.
The owner to the west.
To the west.
To the west.
All right.
To the west, sorry.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner First. Any more comments? Let's vote. All right, motion carried. Ms. Glover, that's done. So just a file there, right?
Yeah.
All right, okay. All right. All right, regular agenda. Oh, I got regular agenda. None? Staff action?
Nothing, sir.
All right, down to comments from citizens and the public. I got a couple more. All right. LaShonda Gerard.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me today. So basically, I'm sorry.
Just pull it down.
Say your name.
Okay. I'm LaShonda Jaffard.
You don't need to give your address.
Okay, don't need my address. Okay. So I have a business here in the city of Ocoee, and we spoke back in March, I believe, about bringing a pet festival to the city. So by the demand of the people, we've kind of redirected and we reorganized how we wanted to host this event. So what we've been asked for is to bring another community pet health fair. Well, we'll be bringing free veterinary services to the residents and people around our community. The Pet Alliance of Greater Orlando has partnered with us, and they have agreed to provide free vaccinations for dogs and cats, microchipping, rabies vaccines. We have Dr. Hyatt of Hiawassee Claricona Hospital, who will be on site, or who have agreed to be on site to do free wellness exams for, this is totally free, no charge to anyone. Our nonprofit organization is called Positive Hope. So we hope to have this event on this Saturday at Bilbrey's Park. And with your agreement, we would like to see if you guys would waive the fees so that we can host the event. All of our organizers, we've even partnered with Westside Tech. They have their students who will be there volunteering. We have professional trainers. Our permit has already been submitted to Jessica Stewart. We've also issued, give her a copy of our proof of insurance. We've also made accommodations to have porta potties and public restrooms available. So with your agreement, if you guys would allow us to host our event from 10 to 2 p.m. at the park, we're looking to possibly set up at about 8:30 in the morning. Between our nonprofit organization, the Pet Alliance of Greater Orlando, and Dr. Hyatt's veterinary office. It'll just be us there. So really no other outside vendors, no food trucks, anything like that. It'll just be a free community event where people can bring their pets and, receive medical advice and, things of that nature.
Okay, thank you very much. Any commissioners have comments?
What date are you looking at?
For Saturday.
The first Saturday?
No, this Saturday,
This
the 5th.
Saturday.
Yes, sir.
All the permits are done, right?
Yes, we've submitted everything to Jessica Stewart. Actually, Mark Johnson, he went back with me. We did a walkthrough through the park, and he really was helpful in redirecting, creating a layout. That's what this plan here is. I don't know how to really work this, but it's just really 3 vendor tables, a registration booth, an area for where animals can relieve themselves, where we will have potty pickup stations, volunteers, everyone cleaning up after their animals, and so on and so forth.
No driving in the grass area.
No driving in the grass area. The only thing that we ask is that they block off the road from Lakeshore so that we can park there comfortably. The Pet Alliance, they do have a mobile unit. It's a mobile veterinary clinic, so they will be able to allow animals onto there. We just ask that if we could just barricade or block off the road, I believe Lakeshore, right in front of the lake.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody, commissioners, have any comments? We need a motion for waiving the fee.
I'll make that motion to waive the fee for the use of the Bill Breeze Park.
Motion made by Commissioner First.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Hall. Any more discussion?
I'm just going to say in general, not against this, okay? I wish we had had more notice regarding asking for us to do this, because I don't want to set a precedence where someone comes up the week before, after they've done the permit, and asking for the event. I really would appreciate, because maybe there was a park that we would be able to have, we wouldn't have to block the street, especially on a weekend during when people are down there using the lake.
Right, yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? I would like more notice myself, because the lake is it's very busy on a Saturday. And I would have loved to see us, if we had talked earlier, which I know you have come up before and talked about this, but I didn't realize a few days before, where maybe we could have a park where it would have been more secluded, more appropriate for where you have animals and a different environment. Do you know what I'm saying? I think what you're doing is wonderful,
Well,
but I would have liked personally more notice on this before the permit was all set up, and then come back and ask us. I kind of like we go in the steps of
all right. All right.
arranging that.
I will say that you were here on March the 19th asking for that.
Right.
And dealing with it. I think they've dealt with the staff and we know ahead of time what they're
Right,
doing. So
thank you.
Was it approved?
we talked about it, yeah, we said we were gonna go along with it, but we didn't vote for the money
No,
for it.
we said that,
We told her to move ahead with
yeah, to
logistics.
come back and,
bring
for
back
final
the
approval.
thing, so
Yeah.
She's been doing that with the staff.
And again, it's just a personal thing that, like, a little more time, and then also you have more opportunity to come up
Right.
here
That's it.
and speak about it.
Right,
Right.
thank
And do a little
you.
more, little public notice. Let them know to
Did we
come.
vote on that yet? Nope.
no, we didn't vote
All
on
right.
it.
Anybody in favor, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously.
All right,
Thank you
thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your effort to do that. All right.
The motion was that we
Waive the fee.
yeah, waive the
Waive
fee, yeah, because I'm sorry, I got
Waive the
distracted.
fee, doggy fee, ball fee. And Antonio Neves, it is.
Hello, name is Antonio Neves. I live in District 2 in Admiral Point. Here to discuss a couple of public safety issues, particularly involving sidewalks. I'd like this commission to consider restrictions to lawn sprinkler systems, particularly involving government, business, and residential, restricting them to overnight hours where they're no longer a public nuisance or public safety hazards, especially from those that cross over the sidewalks because they are for pedestrian use. And I've never seen a sprinkler system sidewalk that ever needed to be watered. The high-pressure sprinkler systems are a public danger. They potentially can cause hearing and vision loss if they do come in contact with your ears or your eyes. Secondly, probably something that's been bothering me even more, I'd like to invite Commissioner Wilson to walk with me in Admiral Point because there are quite a few issues, particularly those involving with the Americans with Disabilities Act, that I've been trying to address with this city, particularly with code enforcement, public works, and the Ocoee police, that have been ignored or gone unaddressed. And I've been going to the mat with them, and basically I do not see why we have federal, state laws, and city ordinance if they're not going to be enforced. And I think that a walkthrough, and I invite any of the commissioners and the mayor to do that same walkthrough if they'd like. But if these laws are gonna be on the books, we should have them enforced. That's basically what I'm here to address.
I've never taught, I'm sorry, we haven't chatted.
haven't.
I am more than happy to go in neighborhoods, I do that. I go along, we walk them. And this is the first time I'm hearing this, and I do like, I'll just put this out there, I like when my residents call me and tell me what's going on, because I do check things out. Tell me, if you don't mind clarifying ADA, are people parking their vehicles across the sidewalks?
That plus there are violations like hedges that are overgrowing the sidewalk, and I do mean overgrowing the sidewalks. And I think code enforcement, instead of trying to address them as code violations, they should be addressing them as violations against the Americans with Disabilities Act, because that's how badly it's getting, where you can't even use the sidewalk at all. If someone's having to step off the sidewalk onto the street, that becomes a public danger.
I'd be more than happy to meet with you, we can walk.
Anytime.
Okay, well, if you're here after the meeting, I'll give you my card, we'll exchange numbers. I think we have a card. Did you fill out a form?
Yes, I do.
I will be happy to take the number and call you, and I will come over.
Gladly.
I'm available this weekend.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
I wouldn't mind it either. I have somebody that lives in there, I know, so be glad to come look. Thank you.
Not together.
Not
Let me
together.
just
We can't do
clarify
it
that we're
together.
separate.
Can't do it together.
It works better with sunshine.
Yep. A lot of shade trees
Thank
out
you, I was
there.
gonna
There's
say.
a lot of shade, there's a lot of shade trees out there. All right, one more, back again, Chris Atkins. This time it's, 3 minutes. Okay. Garbage. Is that what it is? Is that what it says?
Yes, sir, and I see.
PC?
Yeah, I see Public Works isn't here, so maybe what I can do is just, maybe if you could ask,
Is Steve in the back?
No, it's
Is that-
Richard.
Richard's here. Richard's here.
the gentleman that addressed us in the budget workshop in regards to the reasoning for the shortage in the garbage, is that the gentleman
He's
you're
not
talking
here
about?
today, but Richard was here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Public Works Director's not
It could be
here.
him, or we can, I
This-
can come back the next meeting if it needs to be the other gentleman, that's no problem.
You just, this is really the assistant, I guess, assistant.
Okay, cool. How are you? My time's already
All
started.
right, start him again. I'm gonna start you over.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Start you over.
Cool, thanks.
All right.
So I had a couple questions, maybe just some clarifications. I know that when we originally addressed the shortage and the issue that we had with garbage, I know that recycling came up as one of the main reasons that we were looking for additional funds to cover the department. I know between that hearing and the following hearing, we had the commission voted unanimously to go ahead and find an independent contractor to take over the garbage. And I was curious if the recycling goes with that garbage, or are we keeping recycling in-house?
No, the recycling will be with the contract.
With the contractor?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. That clarifies the concern that I had. I think I had written Rosemary in regards to it, and maybe there was some miscommunication that we were keeping that in-house, and I'm glad that that's gone. So, excellent. You answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there's no more, anybody else from the citizens want to have any comments? All right. Comments from commissioners, let's start that way. Commissioner Brinson.
Good evening. Okay, doing business with the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. That is coming up on October 17th. It's going to be over at the Ocoee Event Center, our lovely event center right next door here. It's going to be in the mornings from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And it's for any business owner, any small business owner that wants to do business with the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority and or the city of Ocoee. We're going to have some folks from the airport coming out explaining what the processes are. So we'll get you certified to do work at the airport, which is both airports. The airport has a few $1 billion in contracts, and the general contractors out there are needing small businesses to help fulfill the terms of their contracts, but they need more small businesses because they don't have enough. So whether you do concrete or whether you do concessions, whether you do trinkets, whether you do drywall or electrical, whether you do landscaping, you name it, every trade is needed, but also if you want to sell your wares, such as having kiosk or even actually open up a shop out at the airport, you can come and they will walk you through that process. So that's important. So remember, if you want to do business with the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority or you want to do business with the City of Ocoee, October 17th, 8 a.m. in the morning until 11 a.m. that same morning, come on out. This is where you need to be.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wilson.
No, I know this month is going to be a busy month. I'm sure our mayor will be announcing some dates of things that are going on. And I know that we have a couple haunted houses in town, and I think this, have we mentioned what dates the city's haunted houses are? Okay, I had a feeling you were going to get to that. Okay, no, just looks like the year's getting, this month is getting very busy for all of us, so we're good.
Commissioner Burson.
Come out tomorrow if you have some time and have coffee with a cop. We're going to have that at the McDonald's on State Road 50 up by Old Time Pottery. It's going to be between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And McDonald's is serving us free coffee because it's free coffee month. So come on out and speak to your police officers and you can have your questions answered, or it's not a complaint session, but you get to meet them and you get to understand them a little bit better.
No McMuffin.
No McMuffins. You got to pay for that. That's it.
Bring your dollar.
Commissioner Oliver.
All right, just a couple items. Looking at the budget we just finished up, we had two items in our road capacity budget of 2.2 million, as well as our road ops budget of about 7.4 million. Came out about $9.6 million between the road capacity and road ops. I would like to see next year we started planning maybe some of that rolled back into some of District 4 as far as some of the roads that need to be paved. So maybe I just want to go on record to say that we won't want to start looking at that this year. Maybe start the planning process for road paving, those kind of things, that we can start bringing some of that road paving into District 4. Also, on a final note, I've had discussions with the leadership as well as the county mayor, as well as our commissioner in District 2 about a light on Ingham Road and Claricona Ocoee Road. So we've still been...
Not two. Oh, County District 2.
County District 2.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that.
Sorry.
I just wanted to make sure.
No, you're covered. You're covered.
I went, oh, my God.
No, we didn't have that conversation.
Heart failure over this.
But we've had several conversations throughout the year about that, and I guess everyone up here knows that that's something that I've been really pushing for a while. I got an email back from the county. They stated that regarding the proposed stoplight at the intersection of Ingham Road and Claricona Ocoee Road, this light is warranted and design phase is in process. I was unsure of what your actual question was. I know that you have spoken with the mayor, and the topic has been well passed throughout the summer. She says, meantime, do know that you can be assured that your constituents of Orange County government is actually in the design phase of the project calling for the stoplight to be placed at Ingham Road and Claricona Ocoee. So that process has been started. So within the next year or so, we'll start to see a light go up there. So kudos to everyone that helped with that. That's it.
All right. Ooh. Make your opinions count. Take the Parks and Recreation Community Survey online. We want to know your thoughts and new ideas on the city's existing parks, recreation programs, special events. Visit the city's webpage to find the survey or go to Ocoee's Park and Rec, MetroQuest.com. Or call City Hall and they can give you the information. The City of Ocoee will hold its 12th annual haunted house on Fridays and Saturdays, October the 5th, 11th, and 12th, 18th, and 19th. The haunted house is located at 951 Ocoee Popka Road. Admission is $5 each for the haunted house and haunted walk, and doors will open at 7:30 p.m. through 11 p.m. Younger children can experience fun activities, including a bounce house, candy, and refreshments. Our annual Ocoee Founders Day Golf Tournament will be held on Friday, October the 18th, hosted at the Forest Lake Golf Club in Ocoee. Registration begins at 11:30 a.m. and play commences with shotgun start at 12:30 p.m. Entry fees include green fees, cart, range balls, and dinner. Prizes will be awarded. All right. I think that's it. Any more comments? No more comments. Meeting adjourned. 7:35.